2, 1. Well, this is TNZ episode number 27. We have Tina on this evening. Hello, Tina. Hey.
Hey, good to be back.
Be back. So yeah, normally on Mondays. Today we're on a Tuesday for a special viewing. So, we'll
The real TNZ fans will
yes.
be waiting ever so in excitement for
Mhm.
this. We got a good one.
So how are things going with you? Anything exciting that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Um, I got a new job. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm a manager at a tax place, and I've never been a manager before. And the people there know that maybe I've never been a manager before and I've never worked in tax, so they might not respect me, but the numbers are going up.
Oh, that's good.
So our office ranking is high.
Yeah, but
So
this is a tax place, so that means after April 15th, it's going to drop, isn't it?
that's right, I will be out of a job. So we'll enjoy the random statistics that I'm supposed to inflate until April 15th.
Okay. Well, until well, as long as you're there, we all wish you. Well, I wish you at the very least a happy time there. So hopefully everything goes well. So
Thank you. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's really weird joining like getting a job in something you have no experience in and then being like thrust into it.
hmm.
So that's been a big adjustment, but COVID really messed a lot of people up career wise and myself included in that. So I'm always trying to just figure out what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And I think I found one that doesn't work for me. So we'll keep looking, but
I can relate to that. Is being thrust into a job. I was working when I was very young. I used to work on cars, and I decided I was going to change career goals. I was going to get into radio, because I'd done some part-time radio work, and so went to school, and so I quit my job working on cars, and I went to working as a courier making deliveries. And going from working in a shop to going to offices was a major change for me. It was like really bizarre. So
how'd you like doing that though?
it was different. It was in the middle of winter, so it was like bitter cold. So when I
I think
first started, and so it was kind of weird. The coldness was hard, and I was still learning. I knew some of the roads, but I didn't know all the roads yet. So it was like I was in my. So I knew there's in Virginia. I'm sorry, in the DC area, there's Virginia, Maryland, and DC. I didn't know Maryland hardly at all, and I knew part of Virginia and very little of DC at the time. So it was also a learning curve there, trying to learn the roads at the same time. So and but
yeah, right. And there was no like GPS on our phones type of thing, which I mean, I remember before my phone, I would print out like MapQuest, but MapQuest didn't exist in the 90s and stuff, even.
right, yeah, I started in '93. So and
Oh,
it- but '93 we had a map company called ADC. So I'm not plugging or anything, but at the time they would say it stand for the Alexandria Drafting Company, but they would say later on it stood for awfully darn careful because they had such detailed maps, and they were so
I like
detailed.
that.
There were such detailed maps, really good maps, and you could actually use them to find specific locations really well. So you didn't really need GPS back in the day. As long as you could read the map correctly, you could get where you need to go with those maps. So I'm not sure if ADC still exists. I know they were bought out later on, like in the 2000s. So, but at the time, anyone would tell you they were the best maps for the DC area, Baltimore, and they didn't cover the whole country, but they did cover, I know, this area for sure. And I do know it was a regular thing for people to go because they were so good. They would go into a 7-Eleven, go up to this little stand that had the ADC maps, and they would, instead of asking the person how to get somewhere, they would just walk over to the map stand, open up the map book to see where they needed to go, and then put the map back and then leave. So it's very common for people to do that.
Yeah. You gotta buy it. Support.
Yes.
Buy the map.
And of course, nowadays with like you said, with GPS, it doesn't really matter. Another story about GPS, which you might find interesting, is when I was flying as an airborne traffic reporter, one of the pilots This was 19. I flew from 98 to 2000.
Wait a minute, you flew? That is so cool.
Oh, I never told you didn't know that? Oh, I thought.
No, I had no idea. That's
Oh,
awesome.
I was an airborne traffic reporter for WMAL, and
Cool.
one of the at the time GPS was still not a thing, except it was there, but it wasn't very common. One of the pilots had GPS, and everyone, I do remember all the other pilots would say, this guy, they would look up to him like saying, this guy's cool, he's got GPS. So we get into his plane, and he had a little GPS thing mounted onto the windshield of the plane. And he was kind of cocky and a little arrogant. He wasn't bad, he was a nice person, but he was a little cocky and arrogant.
He's kind of like,
Yeah, exactly. And he was, because he had GPS and no one else did. so,
hilarious. That's really funny.
so, but before we go too far, I want to remind everyone, if you'd like to help support what we're doing, there's an affiliate link in the description below for NordVPN. I've used the service. I would definitely recommend it. It would help support what we're doing. NordVPN does help you protect your identity, hide your location. If you want to watch movies, TV shows, you can watch. If you're in a country that blocks where you're at, you should be able to get around that and watch the shows that you want to watch, things like that. So, and
Yes. I will be using NordVPN to watch Big Brother Canada. Switch my location to Canada. So I'll be using it too myself. Definitely works for TV shows across the border, not across the pond, across the border. It would work across the pond, but I'm just not using that right now. I'm just going across the northern border.
Right. The Great Up North, or what is it? What's it called? What is it? The Great? I forget. What does Canada refer to?
The Great Outdoors.
Great Outdoors. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I thought it was the Great White North. Is that something? I don't know.
The Great Outdoors, I think, is a John Candy movie.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah.
Is that it? But does that take place in Canada? I don't know.
I don't know. Is that the one with Dan Aykroyd? I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. I don't think that takes place in Canada.
And not to be confused with Alaska, which is the Final Frontier, or is that?
Yes.
Yep. Star Trek's the Final Frontier. Alaska is the last frontier. The last frontier.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think you're right.
We got before we go too far, we got Byron asking, "Do you all like gaming?" And then he's shouting, "Do you like gaming?" Yes, we like gaming. Yes.
We love gaming. You are among friends.
So anyway, the description, the link for that is in the description below. And if you'd like to support what we're doing, we'd really appreciate it. So, and okay, so let's check did you have anything else you wanted to add before? Because I kind of cut you off before I gave our little advertisement there.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, well, let's look at our question from our last show. Looks like we got a relatively decent response. Give me a second here while I bring it up. And here we go. Okay. So do you like NASCAR and Formula One, or do you consider NASCAR and Formula One to be sports? Explain your response. So overwhelmingly 82% with yes. Let's see. And 10% with no, and 8% with kind of. Okay. And we got some decent, interesting responses here too. So it kind of clarifies. What was it? Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I need my reading glasses. So give me a second here.
No, you're fine.
Let's see. There we go. Okay, what isn't considered a sport at this point? Interesting.
Okay, that is an interesting comment. However, I will say this one has been around for a while, but I do understand the sentiment there.
Mm-hmm. And the NASCAR came out in the 60s? I think
you're asking the wrong person for motorsports history.
I'm not sure about Formula One. I'm not sure about that one at all. So.
I feel like Formula One would be earlier than NASCAR. I just feel like Formula One is a little more sophisticated, and it's European, which makes me feel like it's a little more polished, if you will, and just been around longer. I don't know. That's based on nothing, though.
Uh-huh.
I'll look it up while we're doing this.
Okay. Let's see. We got Diecast Buffet says motorsports is a super sport. I'm sorry. Motorsports is a super smart sport. Once you look at it, the engineering, the mechanical, and the aerodynamics sides are re- uh, require some extremely smart people to not only build race cars but to make them faster than the other. Interesting. There's a little bit. Oh, there's a lot more to this. If it's too long, yeah, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I didn't realize it was that long. I
Thanks,
will.
sir.
Before you, I want to add to that though. When it comes to NASCAR, the idea that some cars are faster than the others is they try to eliminate that. I don't know if you know that. Like they try to make all the cars pretty much the same, so it's supposed to be about the racers, not really the cars so much. So the cars are supposed to be equal to make the racing more. So the racers are competing against themselves and not really the cars. So
That's good. That's good. That's important to balance it like that.
let's see. Generic do, Modiz says if Rowling was up there, defo. Okay. Got here. Pig Figo 32 just watched a video of how F1 drivers are trained. Okay. You need reflexes and focus, plus you have to keep your weight as light as possible and healthy for power to weight ratio advantages. Yes, that's true. All cars, and when it comes to any car, it's the weight is always you want to definitely not like just like you said, not only the weight of the driver but the weight of the vehicle. It has to be extremely light, and that includes every single little detail you can think of. And the distribution is also, like you said, very important. Motorsports in general require to be quick, dexterous, and to know how to handle the machine. It's not something for an average person without earlier training. Plus, there is competition factor. Every sport has to have it. Yes.
Very true. Yeah.
George Carlin does a bit about this. Oh, interesting. I have to listen to that one. How is it not a sport? Who would even argue that even nerds with their League of Legends is considered a sport? Esports, lol. But you're going to ask if racing cars is a sport or not? Please, please.
No one was disagreeing. Let me be clear. Neither of us disagreed. We both agreed that it was a sport. We wanted to pose that question to the audience and those of us who play GTA.
Yes.
Neither of us think it is anything other than a sport.
Well, GTA is more of a does have some
Oh, not
racing.
GTA. Not GTA. No, that's not a sport. But there's cars in it. That's all
Yeah,
I'm saying.
there are some racing in Grand Theft Auto. I will say this before I actually started playing Grand Theft Auto, GTA. The only thing I knew GTA to mean was Grand Touring Automatic, which was a sports was a Mustang that came out in the 60s. And so GTA, until I started playing Grand Theft Auto, GTA only had one meaning. That was that. Now I understand it as Grand Theft Auto. So,
Mm.
and GTA was a sporty car. It came out in 67. I can't remember how many years they made it, but it was it's kind of weird because it's a car, a sport car, but it has an automatic transmission. Most sporty cars have standard transmissions. So it's kind of odd to have an automatic for a sports car. So, Norbert 011 says they're motorsports. Okay, cool.
Yep,
Alrighty.
I agree. Answer to our question: Formula One, May 1950, NASCAR, February 1948.
Okay.
NASCAR came first. I'm so surprised. But there are other racing clubs, you know what I mean, like associations and things like that, like organizations. So, like, what is it? Other stock car racing
Well, that's what
groups?
NASCAR
There's a
is. Originally,
okay.
NASCAR, the S, in case you're wondering, the S and the C in NASCAR stand for stock car.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, yeah. See, this is I can't be an expert on this stuff that I don't know anything about.
that's fine. I just want
But I
to,
got the dates right.
yeah, it's cool. Alrighty.
Okay.
So, would you have a question for our viewers for this week?
Yeah, this is just a general question, just about our next movie. Tonight's movie is Mars Attacks. It is. I had seen this movie when I was younger, and I watched it again, and it is hilarious. I love it. I wanted to know, since this movie is just loaded with famous people. You know, it's one of those movies where it has so many big names, like literally star-studded. Like that is this movie. Um, I want to know, do you, reader, prefer do you like movies that have a ton of celebrities or just a few or none? Like how many celebrities do you like having in a movie?
Several celebrities. How would we rephrase that? Several celebrities? Would that be good? I don't know.
Many celebrities?
Many celebrities.
A ton?
A ton of celebrities, by the way, is only about 11 and a half people.
That's true. We're gonna put them on a scale together.
So, we could. You want to put that in there? A ton of people, or how would you want to phrase it?
I would say how many famous people do you like having in your movies, or something along those lines? Do you think that sounds good?
Yeah.
Do you like seeing in your movies?
Your movies?
Yeah, in the movies you watch, like in your movies.
This about movies. I'll correct that. Oh, in the movies you watch. Okay. I guess we can make it more like a lot. We don't have to give specific numbers, do you?
Yeah, no, not numbers. I was just gonna say, like, the more the merrier.
Okay.
Like the more the better.
How's supposed to MER?
RIER.
Thank you.
Just a few.
Yeah.
Just a few is fine.
Okay.
No famous people, I would say, / indie film.
Okay. Is indie spelled with a capital I or just?
No, it doesn't need to be with a capital I. Yeah, indie movie. Oh, MOVIE.
Oops. Yeah. Or do you want to put indie film?
Indie film works, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's good. You know, a ton, a few, none.
Okay, let me see. Oops, I didn't spell how correctly. How many famous people do you like?
Do you like?
Yeah.
Maybe you right there.
Okay. How many famous people do you like? In the movies you watch. The more the merrier. Just a few is always fine. And no famous people indie film. Okay. Aren't there some indie films that have some famous people in them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's true.
Okay, well, you can leave it like that. And that's it?
Yeah, that's all
Okay.
I could.
All right, here we go.
Just because this movie is one of those movies that is just loaded with famous people. Like, so many famous people in this movie. And some of them are only in the movie for like 2 lines, you know what I mean? And it's just fun. I love it so much. I'm just looking through this. I'll go through once we like talk about the movie more.
So you saw this movie, you said when it came out originally, correct?
Probably not when it came out originally. It looks like it's from 1996, so I would have seen it under 10. So you know, it was probably like under 10 years old, like, you know, a wee child.
Right. I mean, but what does that mean as far as like when you saw it? I mean, how many years? When did you see it? Like after? I guess a few years after it came out is what I'm saying. I don't know
Yeah,
when you were.
yeah.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant.
No, okay, yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It would have been a few years after it came out. Um, it was probably just on TV or something like that. We never owned it. But I remember my dad playing it for us. Maybe he rented it once from like the Blockbuster in town. Um, but I definitely have distinct memories of the Martians and the scene where these Martians come to Earth and they say, "We come in peace," and immediately start zapping everybody. And it's just a mayhem. It's so funny. I definitely remember the Martians from this, though, like imprinted on my brain. Um,
Right. Now, as far as the movie itself, it was based on a series of collector cards. I don't know if you know that from the 1960s.
no, I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah. So the company Topps that makes bubblegum cards, baseball cards from the
Okay,
1960s.
yep, I'm familiar with that name.
Yeah, they made it. They made them during the early '60s, the 1960s. So, and a lot of the scenes that were in the movie were based on those cards. So there was just a series of cards, like 60 of them, and apparently they were considered to be too gruesome for kids, so they were basically banned. Back in the '60s, they used to ban a lot of stuff, like comic books and things, back in the '50s and '60s.
Wow. Okay.
So, and they banned them all, but they're still, they, after a while, things they became less restricted. So, during the '80s, it became more popular again, and that's when they decided to let's go ahead and make a movie about it. And that's when they decided when they made the movie. If you see the collector cards, which actually you could bring some of those up real quick.
Yeah, I would love to see them. I'm
Yeah.
so curious because I'm just thinking, like, how would you make collector's cards out of this? And that makes sense because I didn't know this either. This is a Tim Burton movie.
Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, really?
I had
Okay.
no idea. So I was just so pleasantly surprised by, like, as I, in my adulthood now, by just how, like, the sweet simplicity of it all. And I definitely laughed out loud. I was really, I was loving this movie, and I think Tim Burton's he's a great director. Everybody likes him, and
Well, in my opinion, he used to be. He kind of got bad towards. He's not as good as he used to be.
yeah,
So,
well, yeah, in his prime, we'll say in
yeah,
his prime.
yeah. So these are the actual cards right here, in case you're wondering.
Oh, those look, yep, and that looks very retro with those spacesuits, definitely.
Yeah. So, and you can see how they definitely copied the looks are the same. The spaceships are the same. The Martians are clearly the same. So, and it's basically that's all they were. They told a little story, and that was about it. So, and
Prize captive.
the scene right here, this is from the very beginning of the movie. They tried to emulate a lot of the scenes from the very beginning of the movie. Oh, it's not really bigger, but that where the cattle is burned, all the cattle as they come by are burning. So
Yeah, yep.
from what I understand, they try to copy as much of the cards as possible. So anything that was on the cards, they try to do it in the movie as well. So I don't know if that's all the cards. I guess it is. About 54 of them. I guess. Oh, there's some missing there. So yeah, that's not all the cards, but you get the general idea. That's what they did.
Yeah, yeah, and those are all scenes from the movie. He um the not the zombies, the Martians take Sarah Jessica Parker's character. They in the desert. They have they attack the military and the crowd of people that are happy to see the Martians.
No, this is the Mars Attacks wrapper that came around it too. So you get an idea. So probably, I assume you could probably get them at like a local 7-Eleven or something. So at the time.
And I thought the CGI for this, one, it looks exactly like those cards.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I thought it was really well done. I definitely thought it was I thought it was really good. So
In case
I
you're
was very
wondering,
impressed.
some more of the trivia
Okay, maybe
originally.
not that CGI. Maybe not the saucers, but the Martians looked really good.
Oh yeah, it was pretty good. Even yeah, you're right. I do. I think I agree with you very much. So what I was going to say is originally Tim Burton wanted to do stop motion, like the old from the 1950s. Like a lot of movies from the 50s would have stop motion characters, and they decided to go with the CGI after all. So like to pay homage, I guess, to the original movies from the 50s because that's what this is basically, doing is making it look like a B movie from the 50s, but in a modern version, modern perspective. They were going to have the stop motion where like the old claymation type stuff where you do create one frame, then remove it so it looked like, and then keep on doing one frame at a time and then play it back. It looks like they're all moving. That's that kind of stuff. He wanted to do that, but he
Yeah.
decided against it. So, and the I forget what the reason why they decided not to do that, but they obviously went with this instead. That here's the cast of characters we were talking about. What's her name? You brought her up, right?
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah, you mentioned her about the dog before, right?
Yeah. Yep. I thought it was hilarious what happened to her. I'm just gonna go through the list of people in this movie.
Okay.
Jack Nicholson plays two roles for no reason. Um, Glenn Close. So Jack Nicholson's the president of the U.S. during a Mars invasion. Glenn Close is the first lady. Pierce Brosnan is the head scientist for the country. Danny DeVito, he's just a craps player. Martin Short, Sarah Jessica Parker, Michael J. Fox did amazing. Ron Stiegler, a very young Natalie Portman.
Yeah, she wasn't really anybody at the time when this came out, but yeah, it's very cool to see her when she's younger.
I
So
was shocked. I know. I was like, really, Natalie Portman? Jack Black was in it.
yeah, and he
Christina
wasn't.
Applegate.
Yeah, and Jack Black was not known at the time either. So he was also very much if you can even call him he was very well not known at that point. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I saw so many different names. Ray J, like all these people, and I love when they have goofy movies with so many celebrities that it's just like, why, how, and why are all these people here together? And it's just like total madness and hysterical, and this movie. So it's about a Mars invasion, with those Martians. And some of the dialogue in this movie is just hysterical, where they see the saucers, and Pierce Brosnan's character, oh, what does he say? I have it pulled up.
He keeps on talking about how they're here, they're peaceful. He's always trying to say that they're peaceful, and the general, forget who plays the general. Rod Steiger plays the general. Rod Steiger is on the left side of the screen right now. Is always taking the exact opposite stance that they're not
It's
peaceful.
like, we're gonna blow. Let's do the nukes. Like, we need the nukes, and the person's like, Jack Nicholson, like, no, 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 we're not gonna take out the nukes. And then this line is so funny. There's Pierce Brosnan sitting in a chair with a pipe, and he's like, we know they're so extremely advanced technologically. I wish I could do a British accent,
There you go.
which suggests, very rightfully so, that they're peaceful. An advanced civilization, by definition, is not barbaric. And yes, that's exactly it. And it's
Yeah.
just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so goofy, and I love it.
Yeah, all the characters are like exaggerations and parodies and satires of people, and in movies and real life kind of scenarios. So he's taking a very peaceful scientific stance, and everything else. Every character in this has some sort of exaggerated personality that's based on something in real life in some way, shape, or form. So uh, it's like the woman who's the new age person who thinks they're all coming in peace, and then she sees them all get blown away, and so she changes her mind. I forget which character that was. Uh,
Yeah, I think that was different than, as the city like, so at first they have the information, the military, the high ranking military, and the president. They're like, we need to keep this secret. And then and then the press secretary is like, we need to reveal this information to the public. And the military side is like, absolutely not. Like, we need to make sure that this stays under wraps. And then, yep, they put it on the newspaper. And all of a sudden now there's one of my favorite scenes is the woman, she doesn't have a name, but she goes to this like meeting and she says, oh, like my life is terrible, but it's so there we go. My life is terrible, but it's so much better now that I know that there's Martians.
Yeah.
And I just, I feel like I'm being seen and everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, there are people really like this in real life that really believe that once the aliens come, that that everything's going to be. It's like a religious experience to them. So
Yeah.
so it's pretty funny.
There's so many good, and I like what I like about this movie too is there's different pockets of people during this. So, you've got the military and the president. You have this family here, which they just live in just a poor family living in a trailer. Jack Black's character goes off to the military to fight, with the discovery of these Martians. And, just to like make sure that everything's okay, just like probably the National Guard type of deal, even though he's wearing green for the army. So you kind of see like what that family's doing during the invasion. Sarah Jessica Parker and Michael J. Fox are journalists. So you get to see their experience, though not as, they get killed off pretty quick ish.
Right.
Sarah Jessica Parker stays alive, but in a different capacity, we'll say. But I thought it was good. It even though it was just a ridiculous movie of chaos and confusion and hilarity, it was fun seeing the different pockets. Yeah.
And the vast majority of a large number, maybe not majority, but a large number of the people get killed off, characters in the movie. So
yeah, like nearly everybody died. Nearly everybody.
It's basically the funniest way to see someone get killed in this, essentially. So
yeah, the guy in the flannel is the hero of the movie,
right?
And his elderly grandma.
Mm-hmm. And before we go too far, I want to say, because you're talking about some of these characters, we get back to the military here.
Excuse me.
Gesundheit. Right there on the right. Oh, as soon as I get to it, right there. Right here we have, in the middle actually. That's Paul Winfield. So I'm not sure if you know who Paul Winfield is, but
No.
he's been in a lot of science fiction TV shows as well as movies, and every time he's in one of them, his character always gets killed. It's like almost like a thing of his. So it's, of course, when you saw him, if you know that, he's going to get killed right away.
You're like, oh, and you know what? And he was one of the first to go. He might have been the first, other than those cows.
Yeah. So, it's just one of those. I don't know if it's intentional, but in this movie, it might have been intentional. But as far as his career, it's always been like that for him. So,
that's really funny.
So, what else was there?
There's also the plot line of the family.
This family?
Well, that family too, but then there's the family of the father who's at the casino. He's like a casino performer, and he's trying to get home to see his sons and his wife, and he gets swept up in the chaos. Later in the movie, he punches a Martian in the head. Yeah, that's the mom bus driver.
Right, we'll say
up her
this.
Kids, so skipping school.
Right, I will say this: the bus that she's driving looks like an actual DC Metro bus. It really does. No, actually, if they're actually driving in DC, it was hard to tell. It could be that could be an area of DC. It looks like it could be, but it's hard to tell. But the fact that they have what looks like a real Metro bus, and that looks like it's Pennsylvania Avenue, but I don't recognize these buildings to the left and right. They might have superimposed those on there. So, but anyway, it's really. They definitely it very well could be in DC. It just something doesn't look right with these buildings for some reason, because the FBI building should be right about here. the National Post Office Pavilion should be over here on the right. It's these buildings are just matching up correctly, but still, they probably did a lot of scenes in DC. Yeah, so, but it's kind of
Neat.
cool. And you were talking about the father, so let's talk about the father. Let's see the scene at the very end. Is that what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, oh, when he punches the Martians in the head. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He basically they're getting ready to escape from Las Vegas, and he's going to sacrifice himself to save all the other people, and it turns out he actually survives because you think he's dead, but he's not. So,
It's so funny. Oh yeah, I don't. And you probably can't play for the copyright, but when the Martians make their first broadcast, they only talk in like Martian speak. You know, they
yeah,
don't have. They don't. It has to be translated. They go like ack ack ack,
yeah,
and um,
there you
it's just so funny that like the base idea. Like, do you think that the scientist that was translating the Martians, like the general, like that's the head Martian. Do you think the scientist that's interpreting, do you think his machine was like faulty, or do you think that's what he wanted it to say? You know what I'm trying to say?
I think
Like,
it was. I think it was the Martians were messing with them. I think
you
that
do?
I think that they were saying we're coming in peace. We're coming in peace intentionally to deceive them.
Because immediately, yeah, that's what I think too. Because immediately they just literally like pull out guns and like "Da-da-da-da-da-da," like not even, yeah, they literally just like pull them out and start shooting them, and it is just so funny. I wish you could play clips of this movie. I don't want it to get pulled down though. um
I'm trying to find a scene where they're talking. That's because there wasn't much talking at the beginning. At this point, there was, but it was right here. Let me see. I'll bring it up here. Let's see what we got here. Hopefully, this isn't too loud. Oops. There. Yeah, you can kind of hear it in there. So yeah, the
yeah,
down. So and originally supposedly what I heard that the studio executives who were in higher ups at the movie who owned the rights to the movie, they wanted to have translations originally because they were afraid the audience would not understand what was going on. But apparently Tim Burton did not want that, so he made sure that there was he was able to work it so there were no translations. So
I think it's much better without,
yeah,
because we wouldn't know unless someone translated it for us. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
Like if that translation was just given to us, it'd be like, okay, well, I don't need someone to translate it for me. But if they go out of their way to give it, then that's better.
yep.
Yeah. So this is like the first scene where they just like your body like disintegrates, or like your flesh just like disappears.
Yes.
I thought this was so, I just really liked this movie, and there's no real hard hitting like story plot other than this is a this is what would happen if Mars attacked. Like that is the whole thing.
And what was I going to say? There's something else I wanted to add. Suppose the song at the very end that they used to defeat the Martians. I don't know who sings that song. I should know, but I don't know. They discover that the song makes their heads vibrate and they explode, so they go to a radio station to play it. And conveniently, anyone that knows anything about radio, which is everybody, knows that they would have to be tuned to that specific frequency for that to work, because it's unless there's so many radio stations out there that why would they just happen to be tuned to that one radio station? But if you can overlook that part of it, but
The
um,
song is I think it's called Indian Love Song.
is that it? Okay.
Um Indian Love Call
Okay.
by I forget who. I remember looking at Slim Whitman.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
As soon as I heard the name, I'd remember it. Yeah, that was it. So, and according to, and I actually listened to the video, the audio of this. Howard Stern actually made a video where or I'm sorry, not video. He made it. Talked on his radio show shortly after this movie came out, and he actually played audio from when he did a bit where he did use the same song by Slim Whitman, where an alien invasion occurred, and they did the same thing. So it was heavily implied that maybe Tim Burton copied that from his show because it was very almost identical to the way it sounds. And if it's actually, you can hear it on YouTube. It's actually it's unbelievable how similar it sounds. Tim Burton claims it's just a coincidence, but it's very suspicious. If you listen to the original audio from the Howard Stern show and this, you can hear it. It sounds like it's almost identical how they did it. So, but just something I'd throw in there as far as some trivia. So yeah, basically the movie is it's comedy. It's a parody of B movies, almost a homage of B movies from the 1950s and into the 60s. It's not to be taken serious. I've seen some people say they hate the movie. I see a lot of people say they like the movie. I think the people that hate it just don't understand what it's about. So it's I would definitely say I really like this movie. I do want to add that I remember seeing this movie in the theater, and it was a little weird in the sense that the movie Independence Day had just come out, so it was like seeing
God, yeah, okay.
That movie came out, and then this one came out like almost immediately after. I was like, whoa, why is there two movies that have very similar plots? It was just so weird. So apparently, the people who made Independence Day actually rushed to get that one out first because they wanted their movie to be known as the one that did it first. So.
Could you imagine if Independence Day came out after this?
Yeah, that was they were afraid of. They were afraid if they came out after this one that people wouldn't take their movie seriously. So
and that's fair. That is definitely fair because this is such a silly movie. But it's different than other silly movies that you might be thinking when they are just like so loaded with actors and actresses. I feel like those types of movies today they're just different. You know what I'm saying? Like this movie was pure fun. It was not trying to be like anything more than what it is. And I think sometimes 80s movies of this nature get it wrong where they try too hard. But I feel like watching this movie, it's very natural. It's very natural. It's very light. And maybe it's because it's not as plot driven or even really dialogue driven for much of, in certain parts, because it is just Martians attacking and the silly things that they do and the weird ways that they behave. And like, at one point the president gets a call from France and right here.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, hey, we're sitting down with the Martians. They say they're peaceful. And he's like, no, like, don't do it. And then like you can hear from his side of the phone of like, and they're all just zapping everybody. And it's so funny. Like it's not even a movie that you'd want to say like, oh, don't take it seriously. Because I don't think it's a movie that is like, oh, this is not meant to be taken seriously. It's not like that. It's meant to be taken seriously as a funny, lighthearted movie that's not trying too hard. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even put this in like the B movie category. I think it's a legit movie that like stands up as its own movie. But I think it's just so well done because it's just so simple and it's great in its simplicity. It's not overcomplicated. It's not raunchy. It's not like it's not dirt. It's not a dirty movie, and it's just a fun time. And I think the CGI is pretty good. So
yeah, CGI holds up pretty well today for sure.
I think so. I was really surprised. I would definitely recommend this to a lot of people if they can handle the goofy. If you have a good like sense of humor and like I see saying having an open mind makes me makes me think, oh, well, you have to be patient and forgive its flaws, kind of thing. Like you just have that old mind. But it's not even like that to me. You know what I mean? I don't think this is a flawed movie in any way. I really like this movie.
Yes, I agree. I would definitely recommend this movie as well. For and like I said, I could see why maybe some people wouldn't get it if they just don't understand the concept as to what's going on. But if you're into this, if especially if you understand what they're doing here, yeah, you would really find it funny for sure. So, but how overall, I guess what would you give the rating for this one?
Uh personal rating, personal rating, I would give this like a 8.9.
Okay.
It's pretty high up there. I think it's I really think it's just like a very strong movie. Um I mean, it's hard to compare it to like other people's ratings because mine are my, you know, I just am hard on movies in different ways. But yeah, what do you give it?
I'll give it the same. I was going to say eight something, but I like your number, so I'll go with that. So,
Yeah, it is. Like I was saying, like I think it's just great in its simplicity, and it's not complicated. It's the type of movie, you know, sometimes I get distracted when I'm watching movies. And this movie is not complicated enough to where I am able to look away, but I don't want to look away because it's funny and I'm laughing. So it's not the type of movie where you watch it and you're like, this is so overcomplicated, and it's just they're throwing in stupid plot points and I'm over it. So I'm gonna wash the dishes while the movie plays in the living room in the background.
oh,
You know what
gotcha.
I'm saying? Like I'm like, oh, this movie's like really easy to follow, and I could be doing something else, but like I'm just gonna watch it because it's very digestible and fun and really good and really happy. So
We got Dozen Haas Play 3.0 saying hi. We got
mm.
another comments here. I wanted to say Mars Attacks traumatized me as a child, as a kid. Interesting.
I could see why those Martians really mess people up because it's so tough seeing giant eyes with no eyelids and just a big brain. You know what I mean? That is a weird thing to see. And you know, I thought the inside of their spaceship was really cool. Like their space environments. I did their spaceship environment. I like that too. And I really liked the like head Martian with the cape. There's a lot
Mhm.
of really good lines in this movie also.
Oh, for sure. For
I
sure.
think in the first like transmission on the TV, the head Martian goes like this.
Oh,
And
yes.
one of the kids is like, "Oh, he did the universal sign for donut."
Yeah.
It's just like they're just like because everyone's like enamored by this TV. They're like, "Oh my god!" The exact same reaction you'd have watching, probably the equivalent of like how everyone was watching 9/11, where you're just glued to the TV. Like you cannot move, you cannot think, you can only observe.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
you know what I'm saying? So everyone in this movie is watching that same way, where you're just like, you
Oh,
know, like, oh my God, this is the world is changing right before my eyes. And when they're watching the TV, and this kid just says, "Oh, he did the universal sign for donut," and I'm just like, "What? Martians are landing on the planet. You can't say that. You can't say universal sign for donut." It just like broke. That made me laugh so much because I'm like, you broke my sense of like focus on the seriousness of the moment with that. And I was like, this movie's fun.
yes. Very much so. So,
So yeah,
I,
I
I
loved it.
think,
I'm really glad we watched it.
yes, so am I. And I can't think of anything else to add because I think you summarized it pretty well for me. Same here. So, just a fun movie, and it's just you just got to watch it to really fully enjoy it. So,
Yeah, to anybody who doesn't like this movie, I would just say, you know, take a breath and just relax and enjoy the simpler things in life, the finer things like that. Just take it easy. Just give it a break. That's
Mhm.
all I got to say to that.
Alrighty. Well, we can go ahead and wrap everything up. Let's check our question before we do that, though. See what kind of response we have. So I bring that up over here. Let's see. No comments so far, I don't think. No, nothing. So, so far, how many famous people do you like seeing in the movies you watch? Overwhelmingly, 83%. The more the
Oh,
merrier.
wow.
So that's only 42 votes so far, though. So 10% with just a few is fine, and 7% with no famous people, indie film slash indie film, 7%. So
Where would you fall on this, do you think?
I don't really have an opinion, I guess. I guess we could put it in there. I guess it doesn't matter. I would fall into the, it doesn't matter. Not really to me. As long as the movie's good, I guess. So, I mean, I'm not going to go watch a movie just for a star or if there's more stars in it or if there's less stars. I just, oh,
There are people that do that though. That you know, and that's I always found that to be very strange. Like, oh my god, Jennifer Aniston's in this movie. I gotta see it, and I'm like, okay, you gotta see it because she's in it. I could see doing that for a director because you have that like.
yeah,
Well, you know what though, I would say this. I remember when Heath Ledger, rest in peace, was alive. His movies were always very like, I want to see that. You know, like he was a good actor. Gone way too soon. Um, okay, so there are some people, I guess, but not everyone. That's
right.
for sure.
I,
But
I, I, I think I've only seen one of his movies, and that was the Dark Knight. I don't think I've seen any of his other movies. So I can't comment.
the movie that broke him, the movie that broke him. What a talented man. But that's a good movie. That is a very good movie.
Yes, I agree with that.
So very good.
Alrighty. So, everyone, thanks for watching and leaving comments and participating in our poll as well. If you'd like to, if you'd like to support us, we have the affiliate link for NordVPN in the description below, and that would help us out, and we really appreciate that. And anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
Let us know if you've got a movie suggestion and reply to that poll. Would love to know what you think.
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody.